to Eddie George Presents. I'm Jonathan Hutton, your host for the evening. Pleased to be back for what promises to be another memorable chat with two greats from the gridiron and beyond. Two players who know better than most what it's like to hear the adulation, face critics, and meet expectations. Heisman heroes, leaders, football legends. One is known as the Renaissance Man, and the other, at a very young age, called the Chosen One. And we also know them by a single name. If you face them, you certainly knew what you were in for and the bar that you had to meet them on the gridiron. The names, Eddie and Tebow. This is Eddie George Presents Tim Tebow. We first say hello to our host, number 27, Eddie George. Eddie, it is great to be back with you for another great conversation tonight.
Yeah, Hud, thank you so much. First, I got to ask you, did you write that entire intro, or did you go off the cuff with it? That was very impressive.
I thought about that intro.
That was serious, bro.
Yeah, it was.
That was serious,
good, right?
dude. Like, hey, man. That was like this, and now I'll tell you the rest of the story. Like, that was big time.
Right. Hud, that was so good, man. Oh gosh. No, but it is really good to be with you. We've been doing this now for going on 2 years. COVID shut things down, but we persevered through. I like to bring on my friends, guys I've admired through the years, from sports to politics to entertainment. It's well-rounded people, and no one better than my good friend Tim. He is a phenomenal human being, and it's an honor really to have mornings. I know he's so busy doing so many things, changing the world, doing some great things to his foundation. He's a great leader, great person, and more importantly, he's my brother. So I'm really happy to have him on.
I appreciate that so much, Eddie. I'm honored to be on here to hang out with you guys for a little bit, and thanks for the influence that you've had on my life and so many people's. I loved watching you because I am still a lot younger than you, and I love being able to watch you play and your toughness. But even more so, I love being able to become friends with you and be able to see your heart for people, for your family, for what you do, for the care that you put in, even in little things, and I think that speaks volumes of you. Is, some guys could go to the Heisman house and kind of just have fun, but I love your preparation because you care about every detail, about everything, and just like you care about people. And I think that speaks volumes of the character that you have and the discipline that you have.
Thank you, brother.
We are in for a treat over the next hour. Eddie, I always like to start things I think the assumption is the Heisman guys know each other through Heisman functions. Mm-hmm. And I always start these conversations by asking you how you met your guest. When do you first remember meeting Tim Tebow?
I met Timothy. I call him Timothy, because it goes back to our very first commercial together at Nissan. And we had a couple scenes together where he's tucked in bed. He had his little ducky, and I said, "Oh, he just looks so cute." So Timothy, that's where it just kind of rolled off the tongue.
Let's
that's
go.
when we first met. Of course, I knew Tim. I think I came to his Heisman deal when he won the Heisman. Can't quite remember if I was at that one or Johnny, but it's neither here nor there. But we really got to know each other during that time frame, and it's really off the camera that you have a chance to talk because you're there all day long. It's like a 20-hour shoot. And the conversations that you have just about life and games and coaches and different battles and the just marriage, all these topics come up while we're offset. So I got to really know who he was. And I was just enamored with the whole Tim Tebow phenomenon. I mean, he was just a beast in college and got into the NFL, did his thing there, and he's just been on fire. I mean, just for God, and went on to play baseball, do some great things there. And I was just enamored with this, the person that he is. And we just really become good friends because of that. I'm not that much older than Timmy. I'm maybe a year or two. So don't.
A year or two. I would echo what Eddie said. I do think that we really became friends on the Nissan Heisman House shoots because all of a sudden you're doing a little commercial, and then they take a little break to reset some lights, and you got like 40 minutes where, you just start talking about life. And I think that's where we really started to have fun and build a friendship, especially because the commercials are so funny. And so we're laughing about it. And that first one, like I'm literally snuggled up, and I'm sleeping, and I was daydreaming, or I'm sleeping and I'm sleep dreaming about rapping for the Nissan Armada. And then he's, like, oh, isn't he so cute in bed? And I just, I'm supposed to be sleeping, but I can't stop laughing every time he says it, and it's just, and so then all of a sudden, we talk and have great conversations. And golly, I don't even, what have we done? Like 5 or 6 commercials now?
5 or 6. We just did a deal with Nissan here in Nashville, highlighting all the new lineup for 21. It's been great. It's like when we get together, we just pick up right where we left off.
I know.
And, whether we're on set, consummate professional, always on time, just like a quarterback, always prepared, always has the audibles ready. If something goes wrong, he's got a check to it. So he's always fun to work with.
Well, but I got to tell you, but the first time I met Eddie, I was like, dang, like for real, did he really play that big? Was he that fast and that big? Like there's, I mean, what is it? What choice does a safety have? That's a business decision, dog. Like, come on, man. This is insane. And how well he keeps in shape. I was like, this is stupid, man. This is I mean, there's a reason why he won the Heisman. Like, unbelievable.
Well, you guys were known for making guys make business decisions, Tim. I think opponents would say the same thing about you as they would
no question.
In the hole.
I don't know about that, man. That's a whole nother decision if you're taking on Eddie George. Come on.
Hey Tim, stop it. He's being bashful.
Yeah.
This guy, he studies MMA fighting. Okay, he's don't let him fool you. The dude. He turned me on to keto, the keto lifestyle. Okay, I've got to tell the story, Tim. Tim is like Jesus, just right under Christ, okay? Just under him. All right, I go to his house. He has this beautiful deal down in Orlando, TPC Sawgrass for his foundation. Just a wonderful event, raised all kind of money. And he invites me over his house for this MMA fight. And, myself and Tim Brown and his wife. So we turn into his driveway, and immediately it opens up like the gates of heaven. And there's 2 clouds and 2 angels singing on the side. And we go into his doorway, and you saw his assistant right there. He opens up the door. He says, come on in. And, we're just floating on air as we come in, and everyone's gathered around this fireplace, engaged in a wonderful conversation about life. And this place is beautiful. I mean, just moved in about 2 years ago, modern, the decor, everything is impeccable. 3 dogs, the perfect life. And then Tim says, you know what? I have pizza. I said, you do, Tim? I said, you have cauliflower pizza crust? He's like, yes, absolutely I do. I'm like, oh my God, this is like I'm in heaven, right? We have a wonderful meal. We sit down, we watch the fights. And oh, by the way, he has like some soda, but it's stevia soda, which is good for your blood. It's healthy soda. And then it's the chocolates. Then it's listen, this dude is like the perfect host. The perfect house, everything was perfect. Oh God, I mean, he is not hype. He is the real deal, man.
Oh my goodness! So guys, if you're out there watching, I don't know which part to take seriously. There's no angels singing. There was no clouds. That's a good story, though, Eddie.
It's partly true, though.
The keto is real, Tim, because Eddie was talking about that before you even came on. What is a cheat day like for you in your diet?
I don't really have them. I don't have them.
Okay.
It's not necessarily because I don't always think some people should have them. For me, it's just with my mindset, my mentality, it doesn't helpful, because if I had a cheat day, I would be so upset at myself the whole cheat day. I couldn't enjoy it, right? Some people can. That's fine. I think some people, it depends on your mindset. That's why I think there needs to be options for everybody. For me, keto is a great option that I love. I would suggest other people, if you're open to looking at it, I think it can be very helpful for you and your lifestyle. And for me, food's not just for sports. It's not just for performance. It's a lifestyle. I really believe that, we need to be stewards of everything of our life, our time, our talent, our treasure, but also our body, what we put in it. And you know what? We live in a society where most of the options that we offer young kids is poison. You know what? I know that sounds a little harsh, but it's true. Most of the options that kids get in schools or they're offered or fast food, it is poison. And so, for me, it's just, I just wanted to be encouragement to the next generation of, hey, let's take advantage of what we've been given of your body, of your chance, your life, of your opportunity. And you can't tell me, if all you do is put poison in your body, that you're really taking it as a blessing and as something that you are stewarding well, if all you put in is bad stuff. Because if all you put in is bad stuff, there's no chance that you could perform. And I'm not talking about sports, I'm talking about in life, as well as you could have if you put in things that are going to give you life.
Well, that being said, I'm going to put this poison down now. I mean, I'm just not going to even go there. I need a bottle of water.
But I do believe that for some people, just based on your mindset, your mentality, that cheat days can be good, that other diets can be good, right? It's got to figure out what works for you. And I know some people that do an amazing job intermittent fasting and then certain cheat days and weekends, and it just balances out for their brain and how they work. So I totally believe in that. But for me, it's just not helpful.
See, Eddie was thinking about, okay, Hutton's about to ask me my cheat day. And now I have no idea what he's going to say, because he was thinking about pizza, cake, maybe that filet that he had last night. And now, Eddie, I don't know what you can say after hearing that answer.
Well, yeah, I do have cheat days. I will indulge in a cheese pizza with cauliflower crust. My son just had his 16th birthday. Okay, my oldest had his 24th birthday 2 weeks ago. My wife's birthday, her 50th, is at the end of the month. So just in like the next 6-7 weeks, I have to eat so much cake that I have to cheat. There's no way around it. I cannot indulge in the macaroni and cheese, and you can't do a keto mac. I'm sorry. It's got to be straight macaroni and cheese to me. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So
I know.
What
There's
I
kind
do
of something
is
spiritual about straight mac and cheese.
it's a soulful thing, brother. It's real sugar. I gotta have it. So
hey, Eddie, you'll love this though. So at our wedding last year in South Africa, we have this amazing, super, immaculate, beautiful cake, right? And then to the side, there's this other small one that's keto just for me.
Was it good? Was it good?
Yes.
It was? You ain't
Good enough.
Hey,
It is
just
Eddie
get
George
used to that small little cake to the side when you're dealing with the wife. That's always going to be consistent.
She had her beautiful, perfect cake, and people loved it. But then I had mine to the side. I loved it.
Now, the real question, Tim, is did you, like my wife froze part of our wedding cake that we will get out like at our 5th anniversary, which is coming up around the corner. Did you have to freeze a piece of your keto cake?
Is that edible 5 years later?
I can tell you in a few next month if you want to find out.
Wow, that's a hell of a deep freeze there.
That is, man. That's
you guys have ever heard of this?
I have not.
Maybe. I didn't do it, so
okay.
Maybe you could just have another one made that looks similar.
Raise your hand if you're from Middle Tennessee, right here, growing up on a farm, right here.
Hey, I grew up on a farm too. So.
Yes, and
there's no excuses, Hut.
Hey, and the farm life, and I know you back this. The work ethic that you learn doing that is better than any classroom you could go in. I know you were homeschooled as well, but the farm life lessons stick with you, don't they?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, the second nickname I ever had for my siblings was Shade Tree, because we go out to the farm. We had, just taking care of the cows, the chickens, the horses, the donkey, working in the garden, I'd have this big brimmed hat, and I would have, you know, the shovel or the rake or the hoe, and I would have it right here. And they would say all I did was lean against it. And so I was just providing shade. So they called me Shade Tree until, and this was like I was 4, until I learned how to work. And but it's there's no comparison to learning how to work, especially when you're responsible for the outcome, right? When your dad says, hey, you got rows 1 through 15, make sure the weeds are pulled, make sure the cucumbers, the zucchini, whatever it is, you know, make sure they're right, pick them on time, right? It's your responsibility. So as a young 6, 7, 8-year-old, you have a responsibility, right? If I'm late to picking those, they go bad, they're rotten, right? And so that, you know, you have to get up. I know I have to feed the cows. I know I have to give them their hay. I know I have to give them their water, right? That it's not only just I'm learning how to work, I'm also learning how to work on time. I'm learning how to get my jobs done. So if I want to go train extra, go shoot extra hoops, go to the gym, I know I got to get these things done first and then make time for what I really want time for, you know? And I'm so grateful. I really am. I probably wouldn't have said that at the time, but yeah. I'm so grateful for the discipline, the work ethic, also the training in your mind that, hey, you know what? Some of these projects seem really far-fetched and a little bit hard to do at a young age, but you know what? You figure it out and you work hard and you know, okay, I can accomplish something I didn't even think was maybe possible, but I can do it. I can mow all the grass in 3 hours and still get to a practice or whatever. And I'll tell you what, that helped me with just, I think, a desire, a work ethic, a discipline, but also a belief that, you know what, I can get this done. I can be responsible and still make time for what I want time for.
Wow. You said you were in the fields with the hat on at 4 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we really about 4.5, because we moved back from the Philippines about halfway through when I was 4. And so then we moved to the West Side where we had, my dad thought he would be, you know, a missionary / farmer. And, you know, so he was figuring out, we were figuring it out with him out there. So
that's why, yeah, that explains your strength right there. Baling hay at 4 years old. At 4 years old, I was, you know, not washing dishes. I was watching TV, cartoons, eating candy and Fruity Pebbles. It was 6, man, forget it. The only work I did, Tim, was in my grandmother's backyard playing football. That's it. Didn't take out the trash, didn't sweep the floor, didn't do anything. That's why at the age of 15, I was shipped off to a military academy to relive all that stuff, to make up for all the work that I missed out on as a kid. That is remarkable, man. But it explains a lot, though, in terms of who you are and how you were raised and just the discipline that goes on in your life, man. Because I believe that, you know, you had a remarkable playing career, both professionally, college, baseball, but your greatest work now is going to come in terms of changing lives, man. I'll tell you what, his event that he puts on down in Orlando for these kids and now for human trafficking, and it's just incredible. His speech was so poignant. And I'm going to paraphrase. He said, you have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and that in crisis and danger, there's opportunity. And I'm like, man, this guy will have you running through a brick wall. I mean, just in terms of this is how he talked about his diet. Like, oh, man, he made me feel so guilty about having a brownie earlier today. And I swam like 1,700 yards. 1,700 yards this morning. And so it's just amazing. So I think your greatest work, Tim, is yet to come, man. And
thank you.
Do phenomenal things.
Well, thank you, and thanks for always being so supportive of our ministry and the foundation and our hope to bring faith, hope, and love to those needing a brighter day in their darkest hour of need. And you've made such an impact in your support and loving the donors and loving our wish kids and loving our special needs kids and so many people that you have just loved on and made such an impact. And you know, that really is, you did sum it up quite well, is, you know what, we do want to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Because you know what, when you learn, you grow, you adapt, is when you put yourself in a tough position. You know, when your muscles grow is when they stretch just a little bit and they tear just a little bit, and you break them down so they build back more. And for us as a foundation, is we want to be able to inner chaos and inner crisis and hard places, because you know what, when we really make an impact, it's not on people's best day, it's in people's worst day. And so we want to enter chaos and crisis for those that are being trafficked, for those that have been thrown away, for those that have been neglected, for those that have life-threatening illnesses, for those that nobody else wants. We want them, we love them, we're going to care for them, because we also believe God loves them, God cares them, and God created them perfectly in his image, and he loves them, and he sent his son for them, right? And so we better be caring for them and loving them, and entering them and entering with them on their worst day, not just their best day. A lot of people are going to show up for people on their best day. Like, people love celebrating, you know, but I really believe when you really love someone, you're going to show up on their worst day, to enter in chaos, enter in crisis, because you know what? We also believe we can bring light into darkness, and the only thing that pushes back darkness is light, and we can bring that.
Another thing that Eddie George and Tim Tebow have in common, they bring a passion to literally everything they do. We are just getting started on Eddie George Presents Tim Tebow. Coming up over the next few minutes here, we're going to get into how these guys stay humbled as they were facing and hearing a lot of success, hearing about a lot of their successes growing up at a young age on the gridiron. We'll get to that and a lot more. Plus, Eddie, we got to get Tim's advice on the news, the new venture that recently came about in your life as well. That is straight ahead on Eddie George Presents. Hang with us. A huge thanks to all of our partners and sponsors for Eddie George Presents. You can go to eddiegeorge.com/events for more information. I'm Jonathan Hutton, pleased to be joined by Eddie George and Tim Tebow this evening. And Tim, Eddie's got some news that was recently announced that we need your feedback on. Eddie, I'll let you do the honors here.
Yeah, Tim, at your event, when you talked about being comfortable in the uncomfortable, it spoke to me personally, because I was struggling with the decision to whether do this venture or not. And it's a complete lifestyle shift for me. It came out of nowhere. I think God specifically created this opportunity for me and would not let me go. It's like my calling. So this fall, brother, I will be the head coach for Tennessee State University.
Let's go! Come on! That's awesome. Are you for real?
I'm dead serious.
Let's go! You're gonna be such a good coach, man.
Dude.
That's awesome.
I know, it's crazy, man. Zero coaching experience, right? So I'm like, you know what?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
You know what?
Every coach had to get their first experience somewhere, right? It doesn't matter whether you can or you can't, right? I believe that you can. You have the knowledge, you have the heart, you'll be able to help young men grow, care about them, right? You know, all a coach is a teacher, and I know that you know how to teach people and teach them well. So you'll do it. Where is it at?
It's Tennessee. Here in Nashville, Tennessee State. It's at HBCU. It's right around the corner.
Kidding me? It's in Nashville.
It's great. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, man. You get to stay home. I will say, I was going to say your lifestyle doesn't change, but it is going to change, because now you got to recruit. Now you got to be flying around the country.
So you got to find me some Tim Tebows, dog. You gotta,
hey, man,
you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to my quarterbacks about leadership, about what it takes to be a champion, about,
I'll do it.
Listen, because I'm trying to win championships around here.
Let's go.
This year, period.
No doubt.
When do you start? I start right now. we go in the fall. Hey, brother, our first game is against Grambling State in Canton, Ohio. Our second game is in Memphis versus Deion Sanders and Jackson State University. Yeah. So I love it. It's crazy. It's like I'm in a twilight zone, because I haven't been on the sidelines in so long, And now I'm like thrust right in the middle of the heat of battle, like boom, like coach, like what do you mean, coach? I don't want to go for it on fourth down. Like what do I do? I mean,
I
so
love
it's gonna be crazy.
Anything that pops
Chaos.
anything that pops into your head about, obviously you got to think about it, but your principles, your non-negotiables as a coach, as a team, your team rules, anything that pops into your head.
Well, you know what? Guts speaks to me. I mean, like you have to have guts in order to be great, in order to go after a big dream. And I break that down into an acronym. G is for the gumption, to have the courage to think big, to dream big, to go after a big dream,
Sure.
To step out there. The U is for understanding. You have to get the knowledge. The T, you have to be coachable. You have to be a student of your craft. So no matter what position you're playing, whether it's quarterback, running back, linebacker, whatever it is, you've got to be a student of the game and study others. T is for tenacity. You have to have the tenacious attitude to overcome adversity, because when adversity comes, and it will, you have to punch through it. And S is for sacrifice. You've got to be willing to sacrifice something of your time. You have to sacrifice your friends. You got to figure like, hey, instead of going out tonight, I'm going to study my playbook, or I'm going to get in some extra reps in the gym, whatever that is. So you're going to have to sacrifice something. So those things, like that's what it comes up for me, because that's how I live my life. My non-negotiables will be, respect women, number one, be on time, number two. And you've got to give it your all. Attitude, effort, and focus are the three things that you can control. Outside of that, anything else goes. So if I can get that and just get the foundation set and get the right coaches around me, I truly believe that we're going to do some special things at this university, not just on the football team, but I think all boats rise as a program itself. And that's what excites me. It really truly does. So I'm pumped about it. I couldn't wait to tell you. It was
I love it, dude.
something on my heart. I kind of told Urban. Urban was going crazy. He was like, "Oh my God, I can't!" You with the whistle around your neck. Let's go. Let's get Bull in the ring, right? I was like, "Oh my God, it was crazy," but it was cool, man. And I just feel like this is truly a calling for me, because because when they told me that they wanted me to be the head coach, I was like, you are absolutely crazy. I didn't say those words because you're on here right now, but just know that I was like, there's no way. Like, you got the wrong guy. This is why you guys can't win, because you don't know what you're doing. You're asking me to be the head coach. But once I began to walk down that path and really treat it as if I was going to take the job and really do the due diligence, and I began to walk in faith, it was like, oh my God, this feels right. Oh, I would do this, and I will bring on this coach for here. And oh man, these ideas, and just to be back in the fold again with that just really excited me. And when I got on the other side of that, I said, hey, this is for me. And here I am, from a football player to Broadway stage to now one of the football coaches. It's just crazy. It's been a remarkable life, man.
But that's one of the things that I love about you, is that, this is a new challenge and it's something different, but so was Broadway. And dude, when I heard that, I was like, wait, doing what? That's crazy. And now another, and I love that. I think one of the things I'd say sometimes makes me a little bit sad in life is that so many times, especially young people, they don't go after what they want because of one thing, and it's fear. The fear of failure, the fear of criticism, the fear of doubt, the fear of the unknown, the fear of shame, the fear of what if it doesn't work, right? And are all those things possible? Of course they are. But if all of them happen, who cares? How bad is it, right? Oh, I fall down. Guess what? I get back up. If we lose, if I get criticism, guess what? That's okay. I would rather pursue my passions, what's on my heart, than I would being crippled by letting other people define my life because I'm so afraid to do it because of the criticism, because of the failure, because of what other people say. And I think that you're just such a good living example of going after things. You know what? It could have gone bad for you in Broadway. You know what? But you still did it anyways because you were passionate about it. it might not be perfect coaching, but you know what? You're passionate about it. You're going after it. And I think it's such a good example, right? The worst thing is not if you fail. The worst thing is not if you lose. The worst thing is not going after it, because now you're letting fear define your life, and you will never be satisfied letting fear change the course of your life because of what other people could possibly one day say about you, right? And I love that you're an example of that, going after something that you have literally never done. But you know what? I think it's awesome to the next generation, to young people all over the world, to say, you know what? Look, this is someone that was an unbelievable football player, and then he went to Broadway, and now he's coming back to coaching. You know, I love it. I think it's an example that young people need to watch and see and say, you know what? He's going after his dreams, what's on his heart, so I can go after mine. And I think that's it's a great testimony. It's a great story. And you know what? I believe you'll succeed. But succeeding is not if you win a championship or not. Succeeding is being able to live out your dream and your passion every single day and do it with everything you have. That's succeeding to me.
Wow. Woo. God. Tim, that was incredible, man. Thank you for that pep talk, man. Thank you.
Is great leadership universal? Meaning, because you guys have done so many different things other than just sports. Do you think your leadership quality in sports carries over to everything you do, or have you guys had to adjust your leadership qualities based on what you're approaching in whatever branch of the tree you're on in your life?
That's a really good question. I would say I think leaders do adjust to the rooms that they're in, but I don't think they change. There's a difference, right? I don't want to be someone that changes based on the rooms I'm in. I want to be the exact same person if I'm talking to the janitor, if I'm talking to the CEO. And if I'm not, then I need to change who I am, right? So I don't want to change based on the room I'm in, but you do adjust based on other, being able to relate to people. Maybe I'll tell a different story in a boardroom than I would in a locker room, right? And it doesn't mean I'm changing. It means it's a different setting, right? And so we do adjust based on the settings. But I would say the same qualities that apply to a football locker room or a boardroom or a school or a family, I think they apply to all of them, right? And I think that is passion. I think it's transparency. I think it is character. I think it is will. I think it is heart. I think one of the first things that I think about is my favorite movie, Braveheart, and William Wallace, and how people say, how he says people don't follow titles, they follow courage. And I really believe that. You can have a lot of people with titles, and there are a lot of big titles, and there ain't a dang person that follows them, right? Because they don't have what Eddie was talking about in that guts and the gumption and the understanding of the tenacity, right? They didn't have that. That's something that I would follow. One of the reasons that I love being able to be coached by Coach Meyer, and why I believed in him, is because he believed in himself. He believed in his system. He believed in me. He believed in his players. So he made you want to believe that something bigger was possible. And you know what? That's why he was a motivator of men, not because he had a title being head coach. I played for other head coaches. Listen, I didn't want to follow him, but I wanted to follow him. There's a difference, and it wasn't because of his title. I don't think people are going to follow Eddie now because of his title as head coach. I think they're going to follow him because of his experience, because he cares about them, right? When he recruits a running back, yes, he might get them because he's Eddie George and he won a Heisman Trophy, and they watched him and they're like, oh my gosh, I get to get coached by him. But guess what? 3 weeks into training camp, they're not thinking, oh my gosh, I remember watching Eddie. What they're going to be thinking is, oh, I'm going to go play for him because I know he cares about me. I'm going to play for him because I know that he wants me to be a good young man and grow up from being a little boy to being a good young man, right? So there's these things that, yes, Eddie might be able to get in a door because of certain qualities, but he's going to change a life and he's going to make a young man better because of those principles that have been instilled in him that he's lived out. And so I will say that that would be the difference making. That, titles are one thing, but they're not everything. And people don't follow titles. I really believe that they follow courage, they follow passion, they follow sacrifice, like Eddie mentioned with his S in guts. And when we really talk about passion, I think it's important that we actually understand the words that we use. Passion was actually a 12th century Latin word that actually means to suffer, right? And where we get the word is from the passion of the Christ. When Jesus went to the cross, he knew he was going to suffer, but he cared so much for us, he was willing to do it anyways, right? That's actually what passion really means. We throw in passion with excitement, with motivation, with hype. They're not even close. I could get hit by a 300-pound lineman and I would be no longer excited, motivated, or hyped, but I was still passionate, right? There's a huge difference, right? And so when Eddie's players know that he's passionate about them, and for his team, then they know that Eddie will sacrifice for them, whether it's loving them, whether it's caring for them, where it's sitting them down and telling them the hard truth, whatever it is, right? When we say passion, and I'm very careful about what I say I'm passionate about, because I want to use that word correctly. When I say I'm passionate, it means that I'm willing to suffer for it, and that's important. And I believe that's something that transcends whatever, a boardroom, a locker room, whatever you're in, is when people see real passion, they're going to follow that.
Wow. I'm just writing down that part right there. Suffering through passion. That is so true. Tim said it well. And to follow that up will be difficult to do. But I will say this, that for me, leadership is about service. It's about serving others and uplifting others and not being afraid of allowing someone that you're mentoring to surpass you. You may bring somebody along and they might outdo everything that you've done, break all your records, your titles, all of that. And you can't be stuck in your feelings and say, wow, that's messed up. But you've got to be able to pass that torch along and bring people along. So for me, it's about service. And for me, it's, when I walk into any room, as a leader, you are going to adjust to your audience. Yeah. And like Tim said, you're going to talk to that person individually. You're going to motivate them and cultivate them in a different way. Everybody's not the same. They're not built the same. Right. Like I may have to be the jerk for one day, but then I have to be the father. Then I may have to be the brother. I may have to be the teammate. I have to really understand who I'm talking to get the best out of them. Because at the end of the day, Tim said it right. Success is not going to be defined in wins, losses, or championships. It's going to be about the lives that I change, the leaders that are produced, the CEOs that are produced, the world changers, the world leaders that will be produced because of this experience. So, leadership to me can be developed. It comes for guys that have the courage to do it. You just can't say it. You've got to show it. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. That's what my motto is. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. I'd rather see what you do versus what you say.
Yeah.
Eddie George and Tim Tebow with us on this great evening, continuing the conversation, a chance to refresh the drink, stretch our legs a bit. When we come back, we get into handling that early success as great athletes in high school, at that high school level, headed to college, and then, of course, winning Heisman trophies. Stand by, hanging out with Tim Tebow and Coach Eddie George on Eddie George Presents. Welcome back to Eddie George Presents Tim Tebow. Tim, you faced a lot of early success in high school. I know you committed to Florida on a live press conference on ESPN. Later that night, they air this 1-hour documentary about your high school career and the decision that you made between Florida and Alabama. And I was like a freshman in college whenever LeBron was on TV all the time on ESPN. And I thought to myself, we are about the same age. And I can't imagine facing all of that, the profile, the scrutiny at the age I was currently living. What is that like? Because we're talking to you who has been through that when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. I can't imagine the pressure that comes with that at that age.
Yeah, and I think there definitely was some pressure, but I would also say my nature is to be a people pleaser. I mean, literally from my earliest age, I love people. I want to make people happy. I want to make people comfortable. I want to make people like me. I want to make people have fun around me. I telling jokes, having fun, laughing. And that was really difficult because even as kind of even as a freshman in high school and then sophomore and junior, you would start getting, yes, some praise, but also criticism. And the criticism would always speak louder to me than the praise would. And then, that documentary came out my senior year of high school. And then I went to Florida in my freshman year. You started to get even more scrutiny, especially because we're trying to compete for a national championship, end up winning that championship. But it was a lot of scrutiny of some good, some bad, and there's a lot of criticism. And I got to be honest, it was very, very difficult for me, especially my freshman year at Florida. And I would kind of go back to my dad and I would say, hey, Dad, like, man, if they just knew me, if they just got to know me, if they just took 5 minutes to meet me, to hang out with me, Dad, they would like me. And you know what? And then what I realized is, unfortunately, some people don't care. They don't necessarily want to meet you. They don't necessarily want to understand you or hear why you say certain things or why you stand up for certain things. And I was really struggling with it. And two things really helped me in that my freshman year in college. One was I was reading a book by Winston Churchill in a time in his life where pretty much the entire world hated him. The Allies thought he was going to lose the war for the Allies. And obviously the opposite side hated him because he was on the opposite side, and so most of the world hated him. And he writes, if you have enemies, good. It means you stood up for something at least once in your life. Wow. And I was so convicted. I was like, dang, it started this process in my head and my heart of kind of transitioning from a person that wanted to be liked to then a person that wanted to be respected. And it wasn't an instant transition. And I still say I really balance that because my nature is I want to be liked. But my heart and my head says, I want to be respected. And you know what? Sometimes I might have to substitute some likes for respect. And we live in a society right now where literally everything that we do is about likes. All social media is about how many likes do you have? How many followers do you have? And so what it trains people to do is not over time earn people's respect. It's for instant. I want to be liked. Or if I put out a social media post, I don't have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 likes. And we live in this instant gratification, society where it's, I need right now and I need to be liked, instead of, well, maybe I don't want to, but maybe I'll offend someone. I don't want to, but maybe I'll hurt someone's feelings. I don't want to, but maybe someone will disagree. But at least if I'm standing up for what I believe and my principles and what I believe is right, then at least if we disagree, hopefully they could still respect me because they understand the why of why I'm doing it, And so that really led me down that path of trying to understand that mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then try to live that out. And I would say the second thing that really encouraged me is reading through the scriptures. In John 16:33, Jesus is speaking to his disciples in the upper room before he goes and to the cross, the night before he goes to the cross. And he says, for in me, you have peace. In the world, you have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And it really encouraged me. Guess what? In him, we're going to have peace. In the world, it's guaranteed. You're going to have trials and tribulation, but we can take heart because he overcame the world. And, it's really those two things. You know what? I want to be respected, and I know where my peace comes from. It's from him and him alone, period.
Did you quote Winston Churchill before or after you went on stage with Kenny Chesney at Florida to sing My Tractor's Sexy?
Probably before and after, maybe. Winston Churchill quote was right on, brother. Yeah. I got him up there somewhere in my bookcase. I hadn't read that book yet. But I'm gonna get to it. That's good.
I mean, the storied career, and on top of that, Tim, and I'm not telling you or Eddie anything you guys don't know. I mean, the recruiting cycle with everything, all the fans are latching on to every move that the football recruits are making, and then you're dubbed.
And that was hard for me.
Yeah,
That
I'm
was
sure it
hard.
was.
That was hard for me because I felt like I was letting a lot of people down, and that was that weighed on me a lot.
Mm.
Eddie, what was it like for you at that age?
Wow. Well, I wasn't highly recruited at all. When I went to military academy, I didn't go because of football. I went because I had poor grades. I went to Fort Union, like 6 feet, 168 pounds, soaking wet, and I ran a 4.840. I wasn't on anybody's radar. I basically had to work my tail off during my time there. Didn't start my junior year, sat behind two other running backs, Lee Green and Keith Burton. Both were 6'3", 220 pounds, both ran 4.540s. And they were getting recruited by everybody in the country. UCLA, Notre Dame, Penn State, you name it, Virginia Tech, Virginia. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. So I had my senior year was my only year to really garner the attention I needed. Rushed for 1,300 yards, 22 touchdowns, was all state. And at the end of my senior year in the recruiting process, I had 0 scholarship offers. I had 1 scholarship offer or partial offer from Edinburgh in Pennsylvania. And that was my only out. Either I had 2 choices, either go back to Fort Union for a postgraduate year or go to Edinburgh. And deep in my spirit was like, we want to see this through. I felt like I belonged at a D1 school somewhere. I felt like I had the talent. I just had to really work my tail off to get there. So what I did, I used to go in my coach's office back then, and they had VHS. They didn't have like huddle accounts.
Oh yeah.
None of that. We had the VHS tapes. And I remember going into my coach's office, and I got a book about this thick, all these books combined, this thick, with every school in the country from Akron to Xavier. And I called over a 3-month period on a calling card every AD. And it was like, listen, my name is Eddie George. I'm 6'3". I'm 225 pounds. I run a 4.5. Can I walk on to your university? And only one school responded, and that was Georgia Tech. But guess what? I didn't have the grades. My grades were terrible. I couldn't go into Georgia Tech. So I wound up going back to Fort Union for a postgraduate year, and I put everything on the line. I remember going back to Philadelphia that year, and I worked out every single day. I worked out with the guys at the University of Pennsylvania, their football team. And I figured, I said, hey, if I can beat these guys in a race, if I can beat them every day at their workouts, then the high school competition is not going to be anything for me. So I came back bigger, faster, stronger. And long story short, I wound up through 6 games. I wound up rushing for like 1,700 yards and 17 touchdowns before I was disqualified. But that's another story. But I go on to say that my journey was one that I wasn't highly recruited. I had to grind my way. I had to dig it out. I had to cry it out. I mean, I did everything to attain this goal of mine. So you talk about 3 stars, 4 stars. I was no star. So when I got to Ohio State, my nose was bloody. I already been through wars. I was marred. I was scarred. There was nothing you can tell me to discourage me from getting my. And I know the grind that I had to go through just to get to that point. And not too many guys is willing to go there with me. Nobody's going to outwork me. And that's how I had to go through that. I mean, I would have loved to have sat down at a desk, with 5 different hats, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, that team up north, maybe Florida, and have the chance to do switching of the hats and all of that. But my journey wasn't like that. I knew exactly what I wanted. I signed my letter of intent to Ohio State, and I said, hey, they're going to give me the opportunity to compete. That's all I wanted. That's the only promise I wanted. Let me compete. I'll take care of the rest. And that was it.
But you know what, Eddie? You might not be the Eddie George that we know if you didn't have to go through that. You might not have had the same success at Ohio State. You might not have had the same success in the NFL, or you might not have had the courage to go into Broadway. You might not have had the courage to be able to be the head coach now. And so I think that while you probably thought at the time that it was a setback, it was probably the perfect setup for what you were called to do for the rest of your life. And, I would encourage the next generation that's watching this is, you know what, you might feel like you're in a setback right now, or it's not going the way that you want it. But that could also be the exact place that you're supposed to be, because you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to adapt, and it's a perfect setup for what is next, because you might not be the person that you should be or you're going to be if you didn't go through this right now. And I think just your story is also another testament to that. And I think it's awesome, right? Is if you were a 4 or 5 star, if you were a matured earlier, had better grades, right, and you were that earlier in high school, then maybe you wouldn't have the same courage to go after what you want that you have now, which I think is one of the greatest examples that you give to kids in the next generation. And so I think that's so cool, is your testimony is not one that came easy. It's one that you were willing to risk more than other people. And I think that is it's convicting to me and other people, is I want to be that person that risk more for what really matters, risk more for my passion. And just in your story there, you put it on the line to risk more than other people, because you know what, when you risk a lot, that means you're vulnerable, and a lot of people don't like being vulnerable, but you were when you were in Broadway, you are when you're stepping into coaching. But I love it, and I think it's convicting to me and probably a lot of other people watching right now.
Appreciate it, brother.
Tim, you mentioned facing adversity and being comfortable in the uncomfortable, and Eddie mentioned he took that away from your chat a couple of weeks ago at your golf event. How uncomfortable was it to go into baseball after your last full-time year was 2005 in high school? And
super uncomfortable.
I'm sure it was a blast, but at the same time, how close were you to not trying it?
That definitely popped in my head. It was it's a long story, but it was one where most people, even in my inner circle, friends, family, all my agents, thought, dude, this is going to be an embarrassment. You have all these other offers, do all these things. Why would you do this? I can even tell you the story when I went to New York and all my agents are sitting around there and they all said, you're going to lose money. You people might think you're a joke. Most people in baseball fail. All this, it was literally all negative from every single one of them, And, but man, I also want to live by what I said. I don't want to just go after the things that other people want me to, or things that I should. Man, this was on my heart. And it was something that even when I was playing for the Broncos and I became friends with a few of the Rockies, I was like, hey, I want to go after this. And it never left. And I was like, man, I want to give this a shot. So I asked one of them, I said, hey, would you at least just let me pick up a bat and watch me one time? Would you at least just, and so, you know what? We flew down to Boca Raton, Florida. And I was playing against a bunch of Latin guys that were all getting ready to be signed. And it's crazy enough is that was actually the day that Chip Kelly, I'm literally on deck getting ready for my 5th at bat of that day. And Chip Kelly called, and that's when he invited me to the Eagles camp. And I'm literally torn between, I'm just going after this baseball and football, and whole long story, but man, I want to be someone that goes after what's on my heart and doesn't make decisions based on fear, but makes decisions based on principle, makes decisions based on passion, makes decisions based on prayer. And that's not easy. And it definitely wasn't easy when a lot of people in my life were saying, no, you don't need to do this. What's the upside? Well, the upside is that I get to go love what I do every day, regardless. And you know what? Do you know what the majority of the world said when I did it? Was this is a publicity stunt. This is, all these other things. I'm like, dude, if I wanted a publicity stunt, why would I go be playing minor league baseball, driving 10, 15, 17 hours around the country, right? I'm not making money by doing it. Like, I'm not on national television. How's it publicity stunt? That's a passion play, And for all the years I got the chance to do it, I loved it. And I tried to even embrace the hardship and the grind of it. Even early on when I'm batting like 131, and you're like, dang, this is hard, that was even fun for me. It was even fun, right? Because it was like, okay, you know what? I got to embrace this. I got to grind. Like, let's go. Ain't nobody going to throw me softballs up there. They don't care what I did in football. And, but to me is one of the favorite stories of my life,
Yes.
and now, and to me also, I get to also have that learning moment and the growing in my own heart and soul and life of, you know what, of the pursuit of football, pursuit of baseball, the challenges, the highs, the lows, the every level, hitting a home run on my first day, but then also struggling, you know, like and having, you know, hardship and balance, and what it did in my own life, you know, and the humility to like go ride a bus, you know, with 20-year-olds for, you know, 7-8 months. And you know, it wasn't to, I love the balance and I love the pursuit of it. Really fun.
The minor league experience is so fascinating because it is such a lonely existence, right? Compared to the other pro sports and the life that you lead there. And you did it for almost 5 years.
Well, what I mean by the humility of it is, listen, if you go in there with the ego, baseball humbles you real quick. And the humility of it is, to me, is saying, you know, like all of a sudden you know, I remember we drove to, I think it was Lexington, Kentucky, which took us forever, from Columbia, South Carolina. And I went 0 for 9 with a walk in that series. And you're like, dang, I literally just drove whatever that was, 8-9 hours, went 0 for 9 with a walk, and now we're driving back. Like, that sucks, you know? That ain't fun. But it's like, it's even in those moments, it's like, you know, I could take the easy road out and say I got something else to do, but no, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to grind with this. I got to figure this out, you know? And then all of a sudden you keep grinding, stay in the cage. And now it starts turning around. Okay, boom, I get 2 hits, 3 hits, whatever. And like there's something about that to me that isn't for the outside world. It's for your inside heart. And I think that's one of my favorite things about baseball.
Did you take the losses? You were very tough on yourself after football losses. Did you take baseball losses the same way?
Oh yeah, very much so. You know, and I had to balance that because you play, depending on the league, 142, you know, games a year, and so there's a lot of games. So you kind of have to balance it, right? It's not. And I think that was one of the hardest things mentally with baseball is. For football, you do everything to peak for 12 or 16 Saturdays or Sundays, whatever. And then all week you get ready and you peak for 3 hours. Baseball's totally different. I mean, it's literally you play every day. So if you get too high, then the next day you're not going to be able to sustain that. So it's like trying to balance the emotions. Like, you guys know me, I get so fired up and pumped. Like every day is like max day, you know? And so, and in baseball, I really had to try to be like, okay, I'm not going to lift it quite as hard today. I'm not going to take 300 swings. Like, and it was almost like to be better. Sometimes I had to do less, and you had to, you know, even less emotions and balancing it. It's not that you wouldn't try as hard, but you know, if I did, you know, if I work so hard today, I couldn't show up tomorrow with the same amount of energy because your body breaks down. Right. And so it was really trying to figure out that mentally, emotionally, physically, all of that was just it's such a different balance in football.
Eddie, and I'll start with you on this, for guys as emotionally invested in sports as you've been your entire life, not playing has to be hard. Now you get to coach now.
Yeah.
But the feeling of just knowing, like, okay, there's a finality to this. Tim went and played baseball and tried it, right? He was back in it, and there was the competition aspect. There's competition in business, no doubt, but that athletic competition,
there's nothing like that.
Different, right?
There's nothing like strapping the pads on and putting that helmet on and walking to an opposing stadium in your home stadium, hearing the roar of the crowd, seeing the lights, feeling the energy of a championship game or a big game. That never comes back, you know, or sitting in the locker room right before you go out, you know, before they call your name out, before you make the entrance. It's quiet and guys are listening to their music. You just know you're getting ready for war. There's nothing like that. And as a player, you know, knowing that for me, you know, I know Tim can speak the same way because he's always touching the football, but for me, knowing that all eyes were on me. If I touch the rock, all 11 guys are coming after me. And I embrace that. And I'm going to impose my will on them. I'm going to overcome that. You know, time and time again, I have to get up and answer that bell, whether I got my bell rung or not. I got to come back and answer that bell one way or another. You know, that competition to be in the grind of that doesn't happen a lot. And it's going to be interesting for me as a coach that, man, you know, I'm so close to it that I want to put the pads back on, but I can't. So I have to channel my energy and impose my will in a different way with these young men to inspire them to do exactly what they're capable of doing, and have them take the cap off the capabilities. You know what I'm saying? In terms of what they can achieve and what they can do. You know, I'm getting a bunch of kids that are quote unquote 2-3-star athletes or whatever, and that's how they're going to be. I'm pretty sure that's probably how they've been defined. Well, guess what? I'm going to coach them, every last one of them, as if, hey, you're going to go to the NFL. You can play in the NFL. Statistically, we don't talk statistics. You know, this is a big dream house, and we're going to dream big here. And if I can get every last one of you in the NFL, that's what we're going to do. And if you don't, you're going to come damn close. I can guarantee you that. So it's a thing where that feeling of playing the game is such a special thing. It is a gift. It is an opportunity I wish that every person can experience, no matter what level you play on, whether it's high school, professional, or college. It does not matter. To have the opportunity to strap it on and go after it and play 60 minutes and give it your all, and play for your teammates, play for your city. And Tim's won a couple of national championships, beat my Buckeyes. I was there to watch that. It's terrible to watch that in New Orleans. But it's nothing like that, the experience, nothing.
Tim, did you know that that Eddie could have played linebacker in the Big Ten?
I think Eddie could have done pretty much whatever he wanted. And obviously we're kind of seeing that now with everything he's done.
Yeah. Any chance that you could have played defensive tackle like you did in that state title game in high school?
No, I was terrible. I just knew I had to go help our defense. We were only up 7, last drive, and so I went in there at nose guard, and so I kind of back off the ball, and I'm like, I'm gonna get a running start, and I totally forgot that they're allowed to cut you. And so first play, they cut me. I fly over the top. I think I'm going to destroy this offensive lineman. And I got flipped on my head. And I was like, where am I right now?
That is great. You played nose tackle in the state championship game.
I did, yes.
Wow. Did you make a play?
Not really.
Well, the coach,
we did stop him, though.
The story is the coach didn't want to put you in and you demanded it.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? So that is true.
Pretty true. Yeah.
Also true that you played with a broken leg and scored a touchdown.
Yes, sir. We score? We were playing Pedro Menendez my sophomore year of high school. I rolled right. I planted to throw. A guy went low, broke my leg, threw a pick on the play. Was furious. Went to the sidelines, and they could tell I was limping when I came back. I was hurting pretty good. And my head coach, Coach Howard, he's awesome. He's a legend. He's not with us anymore, but he's an amazing coach. And he said to me, suck it up. This is what legends are made of. Let's go. We're down 17. We were down 17 to nothing. And at the end of the game, I think it was a 17 or 19-yard run, something like that. And I dove into the end zone to tie it at 24-24. And the safety that hit me as I was diving into the end zone, he snapped his leg. And so both of us are laying there at the game side, 24-24. And both of us have a broken leg. And we're like trying to go over to the sidelines. And then you're like thinking, this is going to be an amazing story. Like, watch how this finishes, this, like I can't remember, maybe like 13 seconds left when we scored, and we kick it off to them, and they return it all the way to like the 20 and kick a game-winning field goal with no time, and we lose. And I was just devastated. But honestly, I think one of my favorite parts about that is not that I played with a broken leg, but it was that I went to a school that year that I think was 2-8 the year before I got there. That year we had 10 games. You play 10 games in the state of Florida, 5 at home, 5 on the road. Every one of our road games, we were that team's homecoming because that's how much disrespect they had for us. And but it was also rallying that culture, and Coach Howard did an unbelievable job of building the culture. We would literally go into the classes, and I was homeschooled, so I didn't even go to the school, but we would literally go to the classes, ask guys, hey, would you please come out to the football, try out for the football team, right? Because we're building a new culture here, now. And to me, it was part of not just trying to play with a broken leg, but show my teammates how much I cared, because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that was a part of it for me, of just it's what you're willing to do for your teammates. I think that's one of the special things about football, is what your teammates do. I mean, I played with so many guys. I played with one guy that played the national championship game with the torn plantar fascia on his foot, had to have surgery right afterwards, and so he did that for me and the rest of the guys, and you do that for each other. And that's one of the special things about football, that man, if I was the only person out there, I don't know if I could have done that. But because I had my friends and my brothers and my coaches who are like father figures, I can push myself a little bit farther because I care so much for them. And I think that's true in life. You know what? We're able to push ourselves farther because of our love for God, for our family, for our friends, for people, than we ever could just by ourselves, right? You always can do more when you're serving a higher purpose, when you're serving others, than you can if it's just self-serving, just for you.
Eddie, this has been a fast-paced hour, to say the least. We could wrap up where we started, which you were describing visiting Tim at his home. Around Christmas time, Tim, you would have 5, 6 trees in your home, Christmas trees. You are a Christmas fanatic, right?
I love Christmas. We have the big tree. We have like the white trees. I love Christmas.
Christmas music. I don't know. I half these stories I don't know if they're true or not, because they're so, you read it and they're crazy, but you work out with Christmas music. Like, I don't know if you did that one time. No, and people think you do that all the time, or if you just do that. No,
I've done it a lot more. I mean, to be honest, I'll start Christmas music early fall, and I'll be rocking it. I'm a, come on. I mean, are you kidding me? Like,
favorite Christmas
song, Mariah Carey, all of her Christmas songs. Doesn't matter. You pick one. Like, Faith Hill, Where Are You Christmas? All of them. I love all Christmas songs, pretty much.
It has been a fast-paced hour discussing football, faith, family, and more. Thanks to Tim Tebow for being a great guest for the latest Eddie George Presents. Eddie, it is always fun to be a part of these. You do a wonderful job, and how awesome was it to visit with Tim this evening?
Man, this is probably one of my favorite interviews that we've had. Tim, he brings it. No matter what, he brings it every single time. Mr. Consistency. Thank you for your heart, brother. Thank you for your stories, man. I love you, man. Thank you for coming on. This is going to change a lot of lives, and people that are out there watching can be truly inspired by your stories and our relationship. I really appreciate you, man. And Hut, a wonderful job as usual. Professional. Thank you, Katrina Chambers, for making this all happen. Aiden, you guys, production. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for bringing it all together.
Same here. I want to thank everybody for having me. Hut, great job, everybody. But Eddie, thanks, man. Thanks for being a role model and inspiration, for being fearless. I'm so excited about your new head coaching gig. I think you're going to crush it. You know what? You don't have to be any of the other head coaches. You just be you. And that's not just good enough. It's more than enough. And so I'm excited for you, brother. Appreciate you. Love you, man.
Brother.
And if you ever need like an assistant backup GA quarterback coach,
hey, I got you in the budget. I can't afford you. But we can work that out.
I love it. I'll show up and I'll hang out with you for a little bit. Maybe I can share something with your Qs or whoever. So.
Hey, would love that. I'll welcome that. Absolutely.
Hey,
absolutely.
I guarantee you one thing: the Tebow jump pass is in the playbook, right, Eddie?
It's gotta be in there.
Without a doubt. That's gonna be our first play in Canton at the goal line. It's the Tebow jump. I'm telling you,
I love
that's gonna happen.
Hey, thank you guys. And for our viewers tonight, you are the lifeblood of these events. Thank you for supporting the conversations and for supporting tonight's wonderful partners and sponsors. Stay tuned for our next Eddie George Presents that will be announced very soon and will take place just around the corner. eddiegeorge.com/events for more information. Until then, for Eddie George and Tim Tebow, I'm Jonathan Hutton. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you soon.